Welcome into Hail Varsity Postgame Show. I'm Ravi Lulla. That's Enrique Alvarez-Clary joining me as well. Rico, Nebraska wins 28-21. How we feeling?
Feeling fantastic. How about yourself, Ravi? That was a fun game to watch.
I think parts were fun, parts were less fun, but the W was fun.
It was a fun game to watch for a while.
Yeah, I liked it when we were up 28-7. That was cool. I liked it a little bit less when it got to 28-21, but listen, the team stepped up when they needed to. They got the win. It's a road win with a backup true freshman quarterback in conference. I'm not going to complain about that.
I mean, TJ Lateef put on a show, and he looked fantastic in the first half. I mean, he looked pretty good in the second, but the first half was just a masterpiece of a performance by TJ Lateef and this offensive staff. Dana Holgerson, Matt Rule had complete faith in TJ Lateef. I mean, what was it? 11 for 11 in the first half. Didn't have an incompletion until the screenplay in the second half that was just off the fingertips of Mekhi Nelson. He was looking like a poised veteran out there, chose his spots when to run. But really, I mean, I feel like the talk of the game outside of the true freshman quarterback is the one and only Emmett Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he goes 100, 129 yards rushing, 103 yards receiving, 3 total touchdowns. Just an absolutely incredible performance by Emmett Johnson. You knew with Dylan Raiola out, you had to lean on the guy that had been honestly the steadiest part of your team the entire season, and that was Emmett Johnson. He's up to 1131 on the season now for rushing yards. Just a phenomenal performance by Emmett Johnson, and you really could not ask for any more. I mean, you couldn't ask for more from TJ, couldn't ask for more from Emmett. I thought the receivers played well. Isaiah and Key and Barney, all I thought played well. Obviously not going to get a ton of targets with only throwing the ball 15 times. But, I mean, this is about the run-pass ratio I talked about during the week, right? Like the, 54 plays total. That's a pretty low number. I think I said maybe they get to 60. Looks like UCLA got to 64.
I mean, it's tough when you have the ball one time in the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean,
UCLA was stringing drives.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I know people are frustrated with the defense, and that's okay. We'll get into that, I'm sure. I sat there and I thought, okay, if you force UCLA to go 17 plays or whatever in order to score, they're not going to be able to do that enough to win the game. And they couldn't. I mean, they did it twice. They had 2 really long, really sustained drives, and then they had the one where the completely botched botched tackles on the screen pass that went for a long touchdown. So, I mean, I think they made a bet that, hey, UCLA is not going to be able to sustain these long double-digit play drives the entire night enough to beat us, and they couldn't. Like they won that bet. Did I love how it looked? No, I didn't. I've been and it's not about, honestly, it's really not even about the run defense versus anything else. I've been pretty clear. I don't like chasing guys.
Nope.
I don't like chasing guys across the formation, and I don't, especially when you have a mobile quarterback like that. It kind of gave like Sorsby flashbacks a little bit, right? Where the only offense they had was Nico scrambling, really.
Which we talked about. You and Damon talked about also like all week, and then me and you talked about it on Friday. That was the only offense that they've really had all season. He was their leading rusher. He is their do-it-all guy. And he showed that today.
Yeah, he is their leading rusher. He's their leading passer. He's their leading rusher. It's also like, I don't know how it's really hard to win a game that way. Like I get it's infuriating to watch the 3rd and 12s and the 3rd and 11s and whatever. I get it. Like it drives me crazy just like it does everybody else. I'm not pretending it doesn't. But it's almost impossible to win a game if that's the only thing you have.
Yes.
Right? Like it's almost impossible to win a game that way. So like I get it's really, really frustrating. But I think that's the thing that you sit there and you say, hey, if this is the thing we're going to give up, I don't think they're going to win a game that way. It's kind of like in basketball when you've got a great isolation scorer. It's like, hey, he's going to get his 30, but they're not like they have to get to 95 points to beat us, right?
Yep.
The other team can't get 65 if we let that guy get us 30. I'm not saying they let him run like that, but I think there was a conscious decision to say, hey, if we take away everything else, don't think UCLA can beat us with just Nico scrambling, as infuriating as it is to watch.
As frustrating as it was to see Nico Iamaliava, I am a Yama Daba Duba.
I was gonna say
Wawa Sasa.
How bad was the pronunciations today? That was pretty rough.
Devin Gardner said his name, I'm just gonna say conservative 25 times and did not say it right once.
I'm not even sure he said it the same way twice.
Like no, it was. For a while, I was sitting there with my wife watching it.
There was a
and
lot
for
of
a while,
There was a lot of Yamaleva.
Yeah, I was like Iamaliava, and like then I started saying it like Devin Gardner was, and I couldn't get back to the right pronunciation, and I was like, oh no, I'm in trouble. Yeah, I was like, I'm in trouble. Oh no, I have to do post game, and I'm going to say his name wrong. I was like, I am a lava. Like it was so many different pronunciations. It was crazy. But
yeah, they were really searching for it. They were trying to find it.
It was hilarious. And I saw your tweet. As soon as they hit the halftime break, the first, whoever it was, the first person to say his name, like said it right and like made sure to like enunciate and say it correctly.
Iamaliava. Yeah. No, it was, listen, yeah.
As frustrating as that was,
yeah.
it was you're right. It was kind of allowing him to do that because you kind of got it in the back of your mind, like he's gonna take these hits. It's gonna get to him at some point. Like as long as they don't get the big plays, as long as he doesn't rush for 25 yards, as long as he doesn't get a big pass play, which I mean he had the one for a touchdown and then a couple that were getting the first downs, but there was nothing crazy that the defense gave up. They just gave up the long sustained drives to UCLA. And really, it was just off of a couple missed tackles on Nico's scrambles.
Yeah. And listen, and again, I think that's a very fair thing to be frustrated about. His long run was 21 yards on the game. The only really broken play that they had was the Anthony Woods screen that went for 45 and the touchdown. But that brings up a question somebody brought up in the chat about Rex Guthrie. I thought Rex had a pretty tough day today. I think he was responsible for a lot of. I think he was supposed to be responsible for a lot of the second and third level containment on whether it was the screens, whether it was some of the scrambles, and I thought he really struggled today. I thought some of the linebacker play struggled as well. I actually thought the defensive line maybe had their best game of the season. I thought the defensive line played really well. You had multiple Keona Davis.
Your boys.
Yeah, my guys.
Your boys.
Keona Davis had a great game. I thought Dylan Rogers did a really good job in place of Deshaun McCullough.
Yeah, a surprise scratch to Deshaun McCullough.
Yeah, I guess he I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Sorry, my cat was trying to knock a bunch of stuff off my desk. I'm not sure what happened there. I know that he had been a little banged up and apparently just wasn't able to go. But I thought Dylan Rogers, who I brought up like in August to DB after I saw the open practice, I was like, hey, what's the deal with Dylan Rogers? I think he looked okay. And he's like, I don't know. I haven't heard much about him. And then, he's kind of just been in waiting in the wings and apparently earned this opportunity with like the Willis McGahee red shirt. and things like that. But I thought the defensive line had their best game of the season. Keona Davis was impactful. Williams Nwaneri was impactful. There was a Williams Nwaneri sack that was created by Elijah Judy, which I was really excited about. Nwaneri came off the edge, kind of got pushed to the outside, but Judy collapsed the pocket and pushed Nico back into Williams Nwaneri's path, which I was really happy about. There was a couple big hits on Nico by Riley Van Poppel as well. I thought the defensive line had maybe their best game of the season.
The defensive line got active today.
Yeah, and that being said, it made the struggles on the second and third level that much more frustrating, to be fair. So I definitely understand that. But I really do think there's been a ton of progress on that defensive line. So that was encouraging to see, even with the struggles, with some of the running game there. But again, designed running game outside of Nico, because I don't think I'd have to check on the dropbacks on Monday once PFF puts out some of their analytics on it. But I don't know that there was a ton of Nico designed run. I think it was almost all. He had ended up with 15 carries. I would say at least 12 of those were scrambles. The running backs went 12 for 39, 5 for 19, and 4. That's 3.3, 3.8, and 2.8 yards per carry, respectively. Those are good numbers. You can live with that. You can deal with that. They literally, the only thing that UCLA had was Nico scrambling. And it's, like I said, going to be pretty damn hard to win a game that way.
For a team that runs the ball as well as UCLA does, and as a team that struggles to stop the run as bad as Nebraska does, I thought they did a damn good job on the running backs. I understand that Nico was most of their offense in terms of running as well. But even with that, I think they did a really good job of shutting him down in the run for the most part. Like you said, the scrambles, and it was a lot of, and I know that people are going to bring this up and it's going to be a point of contention all of next week and for probably a while. It was mostly missed tackles, and it wasn't even like people were in the wrong spots or taking bad angles. It was just like he's an athlete. He's a 6'6", gangly athlete who is going to make you miss tackles, and that's exactly what he was doing. He was kind of embarrassing folks out there, but hey, so was a couple of Nebraska's guys. And Nico Iamaleava did a really good job of keeping his eyes downfield, so forcing the defensive backs, whether they were in a zone or in a man, to respect the fact that he still could pass the ball. So they had to stay where they were with their man. And then that allowed him to get upfield, get a couple more yards that he needed, and then, put the skates and juke people out. So I think all in all, Nebraska's defense had a really good day today, regardless. I mean, there's going to be I saw somebody in the chat say, a great TJ game. The defense almost blew it. I don't think the defense almost blew it. I just think that it was just UCLA just getting, 5-3-3. Like, they're doing a good job shutting down the run. It's just they're getting that extra yard here and there.
I also thought that, and I think it was intentional. I thought the play calling in the second half after Nebraska went up 28-7 got pretty conservative. Which I understand. I don't have a problem with it necessarily. But I think that was pretty intentional. It seemed to me that Nebraska probably, had they tried to expose TJ a little bit more, probably could have scored 35 or more points in this game pretty easily. Like I don't really have any doubt about that if they had wanted to open things up a little bit more for TJ. I'll be honest, and maybe I'm alone here. I don't think that I never felt that Nebraska was in any danger of losing this game. Like, I really didn't. From the opening, when Nebraska marched right down the field, and it was clear that TJ was going to be good today, I really did not have any, like, at almost no point did I feel like Nebraska was going to lose this game, and certainly not at any point in the second half. So I get the frustrations with the defense. Maybe I was overly confident. It felt like, to me, Nebraska is going to be able to run the ball when they need to salt the clock away. UCLA is not going to be able to score quickly enough to get back into this game. I I felt pretty good about it the entire second half. I thought Nebraska kind of strategically went conservative on the offensive side of the ball to, I mean, I think to make sure that I thought they probably thought the only way they lose this game is with a turnover. Like that's the way I viewed this game is the only way they lose is if they turn the ball over. And so how do you do that? Maybe you go into the shell a little bit, but I honestly thought that it was a pretty good game plan on both sides of the ball. And to me, I was really encouraged by the fact that we knew UCLA's run defense was porous and Nebraska took advantage of that. You know, the last time we saw this with Minnesota, whose run defense wasn't great either, really didn't see that happen, right? Really did not see any of that happen with Minnesota. So to see, hey, this is the weakness, this is our strength, let's hammer them there. That was right off the bat. You saw it on the first drive of the game, and you saw it pretty much the rest of the way as well. 39 carries, 39 rush attempts, only 15 pass attempts. Like I thought this game was, it might have been closer to 17 called pass plays, but I mean, you're talking a 2-to-1 ratio pretty easily here for Nebraska. So I thought the game plan, go ahead.
I was saying they did exactly what you were saying all week. The game plan was to pound the rock down UCLA's throat, and that's exactly what Nebraska did. They took advantage of a porous run defense and a strong running attack by them, and one of the better running backs in the country. And if he's not an All-American, I don't know what's going on, just because of what he's able to do, not only running the ball, but catching the ball as well. I mean, Emmett Johnson just put on a clinic today and showed the country, but they were playing on the West Coast, so nobody in the East Coast was up watching this game. Shout out to Christian McCaffrey. So it's I agree with you. The second half offense got I think it got extremely conservative. I think at that point they were playing not to lose instead of to win the game. I think if they would have kept going and calling the plays that they were doing in the first half, that they would have put up a pretty big number, or at least they would have kept UCLA off the field even longer and forced them to try to play catch up, which could have led to more sacks or some turnovers with Nico trying to force some things, trying to get back into the game. But Nebraska, I understand it. You have a true freshman on the road. He's back home, so maybe he tries a little too hard to do something. Regardless, I think he played a hell of a game. Emmett Johnson played a hell of a game. The coaching staff called a hell of a game, and Nebraska gets out of the West Coast with a win, and now they just have to worry about trying to find a flight back.
I also think that, there's a part of this where like, okay, if we've got this game in control, like let's not open ourselves up to making a game-changing mistake, and B, I think that it was, hey, we could probably do more with TJ's feet here, but let's not have him take any hits that he doesn't have to, right? Like we're already missing our starter, probably don't want to have to go to Jalen Gramstad for 2 full games if something happens to TJ, not that maybe he's capable as well. I don't know, but I think there's a reason TJ's the backup here. I think there's part of that as well. And I also think, again, if you look at the way this game played out, Nebraska's up 28-7, and you look at it and you go, okay, UCLA has scored 1 time and it took 9 minutes and 17 plays. If that's the path forward for them offensively, they literally do not have the time to win this game, right? So I think that's a part of it. I think you just kind of have to math it out at a certain point too. And I don't even think it's playing not to lose. I think it's just, hey, let's just play smart, get the win, and go home. I think there's a lot there in terms of just, hey, like we complain about, game management and clock management and things like that. Nebraska saw, hey, it's almost impossible to lose this game 28-7 if we don't hand them something. So let's not hand them anything, right? Like to me, that was good game management, right? And then on the other side, we saw UCLA botch the timeout situation before the 2-minute warning. Where,
what were they doing?
I think they were trying to maximize the number of stoppages they got, including the 2-minute warning. The problem was they called a timeout on 2nd and 1 at 2:01 left, which meant Nebraska could run a play, get the first down, get past the 2-minute timeout, and UCLA couldn't stop the clock again. So like they were trying to play the clock game and forgot the situational part of it, where they actually had to get the stops, and they didn't put themselves in a position defensively to use the timeouts the way it seemed like they had pre-planned to going up to the 2-minute warning, and they didn't adjust in real time. So, I mean, that was a nice flip of script as well to see. I thought Nebraska, honestly, from the time they scored in the second half to make it 28-7, all the way through the end of the game, I thought they managed the timing of that game really well, including the last drive where they got the first downs and they're like, all right, we can kneel this thing out. Like they had the ball. They got the ball left with 5 minutes left, and UCLA did not touch the ball again. Like that's good game management to me. That they did exactly what they needed to. And I thought that was a really good job compared to some of the things that we heard talked about last week. So I just wanted to get that out there. Brad says, "Are we watching?"
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Brad said, "Are we watching Emmett play his first into an All-American bid?" You mentioned that earlier. I certainly think that's on the table. I think the first team All-American or the first team All-Conference is certainly deserved at this point. I don't know how you can talk your way around that. And you're going to
if you look at the Big Ten's rushing touchdown leaders thing that they put out.
I mean, rushing touchdown leaders, yards leaders, the fact that he's a dual threat guy out of the backfield. Don't worry, Brad. I knew what you meant. Little typo there. That's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think there's a real case for him to be an All-American. Hardy at Missouri's had a really good year as well. That's the name kind of that top jumps to the top of my head. I know in conference you have like Justice Haynes has been really good. I don't know that there's been a better or more important back in the country than Emmett Johnson to Nebraska. So
I think at the end of the season, I think by the end of the season, due to injuries and such, I mean, not to take anything away from it, Emmett's going to be leading the conference in rushing yards. And
I believe so, yeah.
And if he continues on the pace, he was tied for third with 10 rushing touchdowns. Gronowski is like second, and that's a quarterback, so that doesn't really count. So there's a chance for him to get first team All Big Ten. And if he gets first team All Big Ten, I mean, that's at least second team All-American.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, I think that puts you squarely in that conversation for sure. I was trying to look up his season numbers here real quick.
While you look that up, I kind of want to shout out the offensive line and how fantastic they did today. I understand that when the offensive line has a good performance, a lot of people don't want to talk about it because there's really nothing to talk about. As an offensive lineman, if your name isn't mentioned, if your name isn't really called on the field, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. So I just want to say that Nebraska's offensive line did a hell of a job today, pass and run blocking. And yes, I understand some people are going to say, oh, it's TJ Lateef and it's his legs. And that's why Nebraska look, he stayed in the pocket a decent amount of the time and was really not touched. Yes, he stepped up in the pocket a few times. He had to, move around a few pass plays, but for the most part, he stayed in the pocket. He stayed clean, and the holes that Emmett Johnson was able to hit, and obviously by his rushing yards, they did a really good job. And it was beautiful to see the screen pass to a running back, and he got two linemen running down the field, opening up a lane for him. The offensive line did an amazing job today, and I understand, it's UCLA, whatever, but they went toe to toe with a Penn State offensive line that was supposed to be, the best in the conference. So Nebraska's offensive line, kudos to you.
Yeah, I thought they had a phenomenal game. It was Evans and Spindler, I think, out on that screen pass that Emmett Johnson scored on, the long 50-yard screen pass. So for the season, he's at 1,131 yards rushing and 11 rushing touchdowns. And then he'll be at 326 yards receiving and 3 receiving touchdowns as well. So, I mean, he's at basically 1,500 total yards, still got 2 games left. I mean, he could he's going to be knocking on the door of 1,400-ish yards, I think, rushing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like he could be like at a 1,400, 500 somewhere. I mean, 1,400, 400 somewhere in there. Like that would be like that's first team all conference, like borderline
Mm-hmm.
all American numbers.
If you get yourself a real big, if he gets himself a real big game, I mean, 2,000 all-purpose yards in a single season is on the table.
Yeah, I mean he's going to be in the neighborhood. It'll depends on yeah, he'd have to have a big game or two down the stretch here, but
Against two solid defenses.
for sure. And
You know,
especially
you
if
saw Penn State today.
especially if he shows out against Iowa or Penn State, where, you know, even with what Penn State season has become, that that'll be a pretty interesting offense or a pretty interesting game to watch nationally, I think. But certainly Iowa will be with it with the Black Friday date and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's I think he's got an opportunity to kind of show out here and give people an opportunity to see how good he's been this year. A lot of people in the chat have been talking about like, well, he's not going to be here next year. I don't know. I have no idea what he's going to do next year. Whether he goes pro, whether he comes back. I think there's arguments to be made for either one. I'm just enjoying what he's doing this year. It's been phenomenal to watch. He's been much better than I thought he was capable of. I will 100% admit to that. Like I thought he was just fine, and through his first couple years in the program, I think he was just fine. I think he's turned into I had never seen him run like this prior to this year.
You're not wrong. You're right. And I was an Emmett Johnson fan coming into this season.
Yeah.
And even as that, he has surpassed my expectations. He has surpassed. I thought he was going to be running back one. I thought he was going to do well. I didn't see workhorse, and by workhorse, I mean like getting all of the
28
carries.
carries tonight. 28.
Yeah, did not see that coming this season. Regardless of, and I would challenge anybody, regardless of how you felt about Emmett Johnson coming into this season, I don't think anybody had in their mind that this is going to be the guy getting 25 plus carries back-to-back weeks in Big Ten play.
No, even people that were Emmett Johnson like stands were not. I mean, they were talking like maybe like 18 carries a game because he's not a big guy. Like I don't think anybody thought that he was going to be a 20, 25 carry back on a week in, week out basis. But, you know, Coach Rule brought up a good point, I think, last week in his press conferences about he's kind of learned how to not take a ton of direct hits. That's something that, like, you know, one of the more famous small backs of all time, Warwick Dunn, got really, really good at, right? You never hit him clean.
Yeah. You're never
like
going to square up on him.
Yeah, and I think that is a huge part of this, right? Like, not all hits are created equal. We remember Taylor Martinez, like that dude seemed like he got squared up on every single time he got hit. Like every time Taylor got hit, it seemed like he got hammered. And that just doesn't happen to Emmett Johnson, you know, knock on wood, like hope that continues. But yeah, and I think Corey said in here, like, dude, he surprised everyone. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not alone. I know I wasn't as high on him as some people. But that was like, I did not know, like did not appear to be in there. It's Curtis. Sorry, not Corey. Curtis. And he says that's good development in my opinion. I would agree. I think the development has been really good. Brad says, I don't know about the stats, but Emmett has to be one of the best receiving backs in the nation too, right? Yeah, I would think so. Certainly
that's a little harder to look up.
Yeah, and like there might be guys with more receiving yards based on kind of their offenses and what they're asked to do. But eye test tells me like I feel very comfortable with Emmett in the passing game. And I mean, like, let me just talk about that wheel route for a minute there down the sideline. Just I love a good wheel route. I've always loved a good wheel route. It feels like it should be open every single time. Like that's part of it. Like, you know, so it goes back to like NCAA football when you're a kid, right? And you're playing on the PlayStation or Xbox or whatever. And like every time it's like that wheel route should be wide open every time. You know what I mean?
Hey, with this, the wheel route's always open.
Right? And with EJ, it seems like the wheel route's always open. And what a dime by TJ Lateef as well. KC says even the people who are high on him, I bet we're also saying we need a second back. Yeah, absolutely. Like nobody thought he could like just take all the carries away from everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, now I've been blown away by his development and what he's turned into this year. Much more decisive as a back as well, and just an incredible story and development for EJ there. You mentioned the offensive line. There's a part of this I want to get to because it felt like we saw a very different game plan and play calling from Dana Holgorsen. I thought that the play calling fit what the offensive line does a lot better. I thought we've said all year the run blocking is better than the pass blocking. I think that's hard to deny. And I think the passes that they did call were, for the most part, super quick developing. Like they were, and we've seen that at times with Dylan over the course of the year, but I'll be honest, and this happens to play callers, this happens to coaches, this just happens all the time, is sometimes when you have a guy like Dylan who you're like, oh, I can do all these different things with him, you get away from, hey, there's these things that we can stick with that are just going to work, right? They're going to work pretty much all the time. And I get that TJ's legs add in an extra layer of development with the RPOs and keeping the linebackers in place and making them bite a little bit harder. But I also think that Dylan's more advanced as a passer too. So I think it's kind of a give and take there. Whenever Dylan comes back next year, and maybe I'm the only one, I think they're both back next year. Maybe I'm out here on an island. I think they're both back next year.
I don't understand why people
we just assume they're not.
Yeah, like everybody's just like it's. I don't mean this with any disrespect to any teams or any players, but like TJ Lateef has played in one and a half high leverage games, and he has looked pretty good. But in terms of like starting quarterback, and really when people say he's gone, it's like a power 4 level, like high NIL. In terms of power 4 level quarterbacks, I don't know based on his 1.5 games if he would go somewhere and be the de facto starter right away. Whereas at Nebraska, he's here for one more year and then he's the starter in his third year. It's his if Dylan continues and leaves after his junior year. Like it's his job. So I don't understand why he would leave when after all this and with how popular he's getting now, obviously his NIL is going to go up at Nebraska. Whereas if you go somewhere else, you're starting from the bottom again, practically, and you're going to be in a quarterback competition. I'm not saying he's not good, but I don't think based off of these last 2 games that he is automatically a power 4 team is going to be like, that's the guy. That's the one we need. That's the guy that's going to turn our program. That's the guy that's going to lead us to X amount of wins or a college football playoff or a conference championship, like et cetera.
There probably is some power conference team that would, but I don't know if it's the caliber that we're talking about in terms of
would it be a step down? Yeah. Would it be a step down for him? Like, would he take a step down from where Nebraska is currently and where Nebraska could be by the time he is the starter? Would he take that step down to just be a starter?
So I think in order to guarantee himself as a starter, that's what he would be looking at, is a step down in quality of program. Now, I'm also very high on what I think Nebraska is the next 2 years too. So that is worth mentioning. I also think it does matter. And listen, I said this to DB after like Akron or Houston Christian when we saw TJ in some mop-up duty time. I said, hey, if Dana and TJ are both still here in 2 years, the RPOs that they're going to run together are just going to be diabolical. I mean, they're going to be just horrifying to defend. And we didn't even see, I think the trump card RPO here that they ran a couple times with Dylan, where it's the extended sort of rollout RPO.
Yep.
We haven't even seen that with TJ yet, which is going to put teams in such conflict because you cannot guard it all, right? You cannot cover it all, especially with a guy.
That's 3 options.
Well, especially with a guy like TJ, who had just ran around the end a couple times when guys sort of had him boxed in, and he's like, nope, we're going to go outside and it's going to be fine. So I think there is, I do think there's that in the bag as well, where he's like, hey, if I stick it out here with Dana, I could be in a really good spot. I think Nebraska's in a great spot with quarterbacks. I think Dylan's really good. I think TJ can be really good. I don't think he's there yet. I think you're still a little bit more limited in what you're going to call in terms of some of your passing concepts and things like that. But I think Nebraska's in a really good spot with their quarterbacks. I mean, I mentioned this on the show on Friday. Their third string is also a 4-star that transferred in from Purdue last year named Marco Davila.
People forget about Marcos.
He's also a 4-star. And then obviously you got Trey Taylor coming in a couple of years as well. So I think Nebraska's set up really well. I think quarterbacks that are as intelligent as these ones seem to be understand playing early is not as important as playing at the right time and playing in the right situation.
Yep.
Guys that start as true freshmen generally do not do that well. It's just, that's a thing. I've got data on it. In large part, the only true freshman quarterback that has just come out and lit the world on fire is Trevor Lawrence. And he was with a ton of NFL guys, and they won a national championship, and it was great for him. Kudos to them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think you forget that year. If it wasn't for one Trevor Lawrence, do you know who the first team all freshman team quarterback would have been?
Adrian Martinez.
So
you know what I mean? There's I get that there's the desire to play early, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I think both of them are back next year. I think they're both.
I think that's a very strong limb that you're going out on. I don't think it's very rickety or in danger of breaking.
I will say, I hope that when Dylan is back, Dana calls a game a lot more like he did today. I hope that he gives
Cincinnati.
Dylan, yeah, I hope he gives Dylan the opportunity to operate with this kind of rhythm. And maybe that's on Dylan. Maybe he's changing too much stuff at the line of scrimmage. Maybe these are the calls coming in. But again, Dank says, I'm not stressed about this. This is a good position to be in. You want multiple guys that can play. That's the point. We've talked.
When's the last time Nebraska was in this position with quarterbacks?
Did Tommy back up Taylor Martinez at one point? Tommy Armstrong?
Yes, but I don't know if it. I mean, in this point where you've seen both of them play and you feel really good about either one of them playing, because Tommy didn't play.
Yeah, I hadn't played yet.
Yeah.
So, but that's the point. And I think there's, I think it's in a really good spot to be in, and I think that, I thought TJ was good and going to be able to compete and lead Nebraska to a win coming in. That's obviously what we saw happen. To me, this was basically the exact offensive game plan that I wanted to see. Now, on the defensive side of things, here's the thing that bothers me a little bit.
Go off, King.
I just personally like the aesthetics of watching man coverage get beat across the field and chasing guys. And that's why you're late getting over on those screens. That's why Nico can go for 10 yards before anybody sees him. I get that they're taking things away on the back end in man-to-man. My personal aesthetic preference, I really hate watching it that way. I totally agree. I totally understand, because this is the argument that we made on Friday, and it's accurate. Nebraska's defensive numbers are right where you want them to be. Less than 300 yards of total offense per game. I think they gave up 340-ish, 350 today. 19 points per game. They gave up 21 today. Basically the best pass defense in the country. They gave up a little more than their average, 191. I think their average is about 130 coming in today. I get that. I get that it all kind of works in unison. For me personally, I have a really hard time watching Nico take off and have so many of their guys with their back to him because we're in man-to-man coverage. That I have a really hard time with that. I hate chasing guys across the formation. It drives me crazy. Now, that being said, I know that it drove other people crazy last year to let people catch stuff in front of you. I totally understand that. You're basically ending up in one of the two versions of like the same thing, right? Because with this, you still made UCLA go 15, 17, 19, however many plays that he was asked that you had to do for them to score. And last year, the point of the zone is be like, hey, keep everything in front of you, tackle them, make them snap it again, and make them go 12 or 15 or 17 or however many plays to score. So the goal of both defenses is pretty much the same. That's why I keep saying aesthetically, because it just fits my eye better to not be chasing guys across the formation and have my back to a scrambling quarterback. That drives me a little crazy.
I completely agree with you. We talked about this week, and they're 3 scoring drives. You know what? I'll go 4 with the missed field goal. 17 touchdown, 13 missed field goal, 4 touchdown, 12 touchdown.
Yeah, and the one that was 4 was the missed the botched coverage on the screen.
Yeah, and in between that, first drive 3 and a punt, 9 turnover on downs, 7 and a punt.
Yeah, I mean that's how you want to play that game, right? You want to force UCLA, like you can't give up big plays, and you can't allow them to strike quick and kill you that way. So like I get it. I get the game plan. It drives me crazy to watch it that way.
And we talked about this last you and Damon talked about it. Me and you specifically talked about it on Friday, where we thought maybe there was a chance that John Butler went to a little bit more of a zone so that you wouldn't have your back turned, and so you'd be able to see when Nico was taking off and get to him. But they decided, and look, I get it. You have really good defensive backs, and you're just like, all right, man coverage, one-on-one, they're not going to get anything on us. But if that's your game plan, you have your down linemen, you have your linebackers. There has to be somebody or somebodies around the quarterback that can stop him from, because when he did scramble, it's not like the linebackers were right there or that there was a spy on somebody that wasn't running a route, like that there was somebody there to stop him within 3-4 yards of the line of scrimmage. Like it was always, when he went to scramble, there's no one there.
So I'm going to have to go back and watch because I don't know if it was. I do think they left spies in there.
There was a few, like on the turnover on downs. On the turnover on downs, it was Deshaun Single. He was up on, and you saw it. He was up on the line, and then he backed off, and then he just followed him across the formation, and then got his hand up and swatted the ball. Like there was that one, and there might have been a couple other ones, and they just missed the tackles. But for the but I feel like, and like I'll have to go back and watch it too. I feel like for the most part, it seemed like whenever he was starting to scramble, it was because the defensive line, which kudos to them, got pressure, were right there. He spun out of it, broke a tackle, and then it's, he's 7-8 yards down the field before there's even a Nebraska player within the camera view.
Yeah, so I think there was probably a spy more than I realized in real time. What I think part of the problem is either the spy, whether it's a linebacker or a safety, and I do think they changed who it was, because I think I saw Dylan Rogers a couple times. You mentioned Singleton. I think it might have been Guthrie a couple times. I'm going to have to go back and watch, and it's hard to tell when it's not an all 22. But I do think there was a spy in there more than maybe we realized, because I don't think the spy necessarily stuck to their assignment the way they needed to. And B, I think that there maybe is a lack of dynamic athlete in some of the spots where they ask guys to be the spy. That they were like, it seemed like Nico was maybe a better athlete than some of the guys that were spying him in certain situations, which is to say, like, Nico was a great athlete. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
he was one of the higher ranked volleyball players in the country. Didn't you know?
Yeah, that was funny because the first clip they showed, he was getting blocked. And anyway, but
Hey,
so
I didn't realize he was 6'6".
yeah, he's huge. He's
That's
so
crazy.
long. And I think it's a little deceptive because he strides so long. Like, it looks like he's not moving as fast as he is, which I
Mm-hmm.
do think makes that really challenging on a defense. But so I asked DB during the game, and he was kind enough to answer me back. I go, DB, can you explain to me, like I'm 5, what they can do to shore up the QB scrambles, or is that just what they're willing to give up because they don't think UCLA can win that way? And he said, outside of ending up exactly where you start your pass rush, it's tough. You want to surround him without leaving any gaps in the middle. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Nebraska actually did a pretty good job of that. They didn't leave a lot of gaps in the middle, and he typically had to get to the outside, right? Like, most of his scramble, he wasn't going through the middle
No.
and gashing them up the middle like we saw Bryce Underwood do on what I believe was a designed run for Michigan on his long touchdown run. But he wasn't just splitting them up the middle and gashing them that way. So I think they were, for the large part, doing that the way they were supposed to. But he's a pretty dynamic athlete, so he's able to get outside of the linebackers, and before the safeties or linebackers or spy or whoever it was able to stop him, he would get, 8, 10, 11, 12 yards, which is really, really tough to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, I think at the end of the day, you sit there and you go, can UCLA win the football game this way? I think they went in thinking the answer was no. I think we found out by tonight the answer was no. Right? Like, that's
Yeah.
kind of the long and short of it. Was the only consistent offense they had at any point was Nico scrambling, and at the end of the day, they didn't win the game. That's it.
Yeah. Nico scrambling, occasionally finding an open receiver down the field and kind of throwing it to him.
And honestly, more so running backs out of the backfield more than anybody downfield. I think the longest pass downfield, so there was one 24-yard pass to Mikey Matthews. Outside of that, you had the long screen. You had
There was the one where he got out of a sack, and then the guy like ran kind of an outcut, like an arrow route. I don't know how far that one was.
I think that's there was a 17-yarder to Rico Flores.
That's the one.
So but like, they did a really good job on the rest of it. And here's, I think, the thing that's really important. When Nico did break containment, for the most part, he had to run. Guys didn't get open.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, for the most part, outside of the one that you mentioned, it wasn't, hey, he gets outside the pocket and then a guy's 40 yards downfield open because we couldn't keep coverage long enough. Is he broke outside the pocket and he had to take the 8 yards that were there. Otherwise, you get nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to try and throw it into a window that's not there. So, I mean, again, hard to watch. I probably would have played it differently defensively because I don't like to watch it. Hard to argue with the results.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like to watch it, but it works. Like, that's the tough part.
Yeah.
You're going to be upset every game because of how the defense looks, but so far it has been working.
And that's why I watch the games more than once, so that after I know that Nebraska wins, I can watch it happen and say, like, hey, all right, I get what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand what they were doing.
Yeah,
so,
and I mean, Nebraska fans kind of have like this intuitive knowledge with how a quarterback running the ball is not going to win you games, because that is what Nebraska had to deal with Frost and Adrian Martinez. Not to take anything, I love Adrian Martinez. Okay, so don't watch it. All right, I love Adrian Martinez. He's amazing, but when it was his legs were the only form of offense, obviously they did not win a lot of games. So that's kind of what Nebraska, at least the fans, went into thinking against UCLA, and Nebraska went in and they forced him. They were like, look, we know you run a lot. We know you're their main point of offense. We're going to allow you some running lanes, but we're not going to let you beat us in the air. We're not going to let your running backs beat us. If you want to keep running, you are going to get beat up. You are going to get hit. and we'll see if you can do this for all 4 quarters, because I don't remember. I think it was you or somebody on Twitter said that he went to the medical, or like they were checking
Yeah.
him out on the sideline. And then one of the drives in the fourth quarter, as before the last drive, he was like limping. It was the fourth down where they didn't convert. He was limping off the field.
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned, the accumulation of hits and things like that. Like, and Husker guy Scott brought this up. They hit Nico a lot. It seemed like he was taking a lot of big hits, and that he, like, it did seem like it added up. It seemed like there was, I know he went to the trainer and was looking at his hand. That was the one. Then he's limping off the field at some other points as well. Like, I think the big thing, and you mentioned it with Adrian Martinez, there was a good point, is mobile quarterbacks really, really beat you when they've got the ability to make plays downfield, not just with their legs. Right? If they're only making things with their leg, or making plays with their legs, you better be like RG3. And even he made a ton of plays with his arms after he got things going with their legs. So I thought that was, I think that's a huge distinction between allowing a mobile quarterback to run for 86 yards and allowing a mobile quarterback to make plays downfield once he's broken containment. Those are very different things. And Nebraska did a good job of that. Husker guy Scott wants us to return to the offensive discussion.
I say we've been doing this for 51 minutes. What do you think we spent 51 minutes? We didn't spend 51 minutes on the defense. We started with the offense.
We started with the offense. He might have been late to the party. That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. We can go back to it. I mean, it's fun to talk about. It was a fun performance.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this was a game plan that Nebraska fans, like, it's kind of like catnip to Nebraska fans, right? Like running a ton with EJ. I was actually surprised they didn't. I'm actually surprised they didn't feel the need to run with TJ more. Right? Like
and I feel like there was more. I feel like there were more options,
honestly,
and more lanes there for TJ to take, to run the ball with him, or to fake the handoff to EJ, and for TJ to just run it. I feel like there were more options there. But you mentioned it earlier. I think they didn't want to put him in situations where, if he takes a wrong hit, if he gets, a helmet to the shoulder, or something bad happens, like, they didn't want to go to their third string or their fourth string. Like, they had TJ, they wanted to keep him safe. They're like, hey, use your legs if you absolutely need to. But for the most part, we want you either handing the ball off to Emmett or finding the open guy. And he did that, obviously, starting 11 for 11.
Yeah, I think I think there was a play where TJ took kind of an awkward hit where he kind of spun and got hit in the back a little bit and then fell forward. It seemed like after that they were a little bit more cautious. I don't know if he was a little bruised up or if they were just like, oh, I don't like how that looked. Let's not do that again. I think there was a conscious decision not to have him run unless they really needed him to. And frankly, they didn't need him to. Emmett Johnson goes 28 carries, 129 yards. Obviously, TJ was hyper efficient throwing the ball, 13 for 15, 205 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like, that's I think that's a great game plan. And I think that's a game plan that you can win with. I do think we'll see them add some more wrinkles over the course of the bye week, before they head to Penn State. But I mean, listen, if you give me this game plan, and say, hey, this is the game plan against Penn State, both offensively and defensively, I think that's a game plan they can win. I think they can win a game. I think they can win a game at Happy Valley running basically this type of script in terms of the play on offense and defense. I think they give themselves a chance doing that. And that's all you can really ask in terms of going in there with a true freshman backup quarterback.
This script was beautiful to watch in terms of letting TJ settle in. And I mean, I'll have to, I kind of want, I'm going to look at this first drive and just see how many run plays they had. So they ran the ball
7 out of 9, I think.
Yeah, they
in the first
had
drive.
two passes. One was the touchdown. One was a 16-yarder where TJ was kind of rolling out. So the first 3 plays were runs, and the first one was TJ Lateef running the ball. Like that to me was Dana and Rule saying, look, we understand that it's your first start, you're home, maybe you're nervous. Let's get, and I mean this isn't what they said, but this is how I'm going to say, let's get you hit first. Let's
Yeah, get
get
the
that
blood
first
flowing a little
hit.
bit. Yeah.
Let's get that first hit out of the way. We're not going to worry about it. You get hit, you're in the game. Now let's go. And he went for 14 yards. He spun off of somebody, and it was like, okay, this is what we're on. This is TJ Lateef time. And then you're just like, all right, we're loading up on Emmett. We got the pass to, I believe it was Dane Key. Let me make sure I'm getting this one right.
The first
So
one
that
I
I'm
think
not
was Hunter. On the first drive, I
Najee.
think was to
It
Hunter.
was, it was to Hunter, and then it was Emmett, and then the RPO pass to Jacory where he showed off the strong hands catching that ball and just holding it out in front of him. It was just hands. He didn't bring it into his body, just hands, and getting hit, falling out of bounds, and holding it. That ball did not move. Like, that was an impressive drive. I understand you scripted, whatever. Impressive drive by TJ Lateef, Dana Holgerson, and that Nebraska offense. And I don't know what the percentages are for Nebraska's first drive success, but it's got to be pretty damn high.
Yeah, I mean they've been cooking. Tank made a funny comment. He goes, "Hey, I'm just glad to tune into the stream and not have Ravi yelling at people about calling for coaches' heads and things like
Yeah,
that."
that's always good. It's always good.
So yeah, no shouting. I don't think I've shouted yet today. We're pretty calm here on the stream with a 28-21 Nebraska victory. I don't
Hail Varsity positive post game, as Austin always says.
We're back, baby. Hail Varsity positive post game. Going into the bye week, I don't have a ton left for this game, Rico. I don't know if you do.
Not really. Like, it was a solid performance. You got one punt that looked pretty good. I didn't think it bounced out of bounds. I thought they downed it inside the 5, but whatever. I wasn't there. Offense looked solid. Defense looked solid. You made your extra points. Rule didn't use unnecessary timeouts.
Yeah, despite what certain people on Twitter would have you believe. I did think the challenge was weird. I don't really know what that was. He thought Nico was past the line of scrimmage or something on that.
Yeah, that was it wasn't even close.
Yeah, that was strange. I don't know if he got some bad advice from upstairs. But yeah, I think there's I think the conversation needs to kind of move to the bye week, and obviously you want to try and get TJ Lateef as comfortable as possible. Maybe get him more comfortable with larger parts of the playbook. I don't think this is a situation where he doesn't know the playbook. It's just how many reps has he's gotten with certain parts of the playbook, right? Especially with the first team. That to me is the key here. Maybe that's when you'll start to see them put in some wrinkles like the rollout RPO, kind of the extended RPO that we were talking about earlier. To me, I think that'll be a big factor over the next 2 games against Iowa and Penn State. But is there anything that you're looking for? Is there anything that you're looking for over the bye week that you're like, hey, I kind of want them to nail this down?
I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but it's mostly just on the defensive side. It's just going to be the ability to stop the run. You're going to face a really good running back in 2 weeks up in Happy Valley, and then you're going to face another athletic run first quarterback to end the season in Gronowski. Yeah. So if Nebraska just shore that up, just shore up that you're not going to allow people to bust off huge runs damn near every drive that they have. And I think Nebraska's offense, if they do what they did today, keep everything kind of not vanilla because they were doing some other things, but pretty simple for TJ and allow him to create with his legs when he needs to. I think Nebraska's offense is in a pretty good place, especially with EJ in the backfield, as long as he stays healthy with how many carries he's getting. Nebraska's pass defense is elite. It's just the rush defense, really. That's the only thing. That's it.
So I am interested the Gronowski part of this, I'm obviously not going past Penn State here because that's a big game in Happy Valley, but the Iowa and Gronowski part of this I think is fascinating because for what I think the game plan was and should have been against against UCLA today, I actually don't think that works against Iowa because I think Iowa can beat you with 17 play drives. Like I think that is exactly how that's how they want to
their
beat you,
specialty.
right?
Yeah.
So
they're going to hold on to the ball on purpose. They
and
don't want you to touch it for us a whole half.
and A, because that's how they're built, and B, because their defense is good enough to not let you score either, right? That was the big difference here with UCLA is it felt like Nebraska could run the ball on them whenever they wanted to. And anytime that they got a little bit stiffened up on defense, it was like, all right, now we're going to throw it, little rollout, 16 yards to Hunter, 14 yards to Key, little flip out to Ja'Cory Barney, and it kind of resets the whole thing, and they can run on them again all over the place. So that is not going to be the case, obviously, with Iowa. The defense is better than that. So I do think it's really interesting because I think you have to play Gronowski to make him beat you with his arm. He's only thrown for 946 yards all year. So 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Today he was 10 of 18, 138 yards. I think you have to look at it and be like, hey, yeah, bud, you're going to have to beat us through the air. We're putting 8 in the box. Good luck. Let's see what happens. That's a couple weeks away still, but I just wanted to kind of put that on people's radars. While that game plan worked today, I don't think you can replicate that because Iowa, that's exactly how Iowa wants to play. And like that to me is different.
Do you want to talk about how perfect this bye week is placed though?
Husker guy Scott, I'm not saying the offense can't be multiple against Iowa. I'm saying Iowa wants to play the way that Nebraska played the game against UCLA, and they can beat you that way. I don't think UCLA could have beaten Nebraska going 17 plays per drive. I think that's exactly how Iowa can and wants to beat you. That to
UCLA,
me is
UCLA has a better offensive coordinator, and I think they have better skill guys, but they weren't capable of going on the long of sustaining the drives and going on the long drives. Well, I mean, they were capable, they did it, but like that's not what they want to do, and that's not how they're going to win the game. Like they can do it every once in a while. They did it 3 times and only scored on 2 of them. So I think that when Iowa does it, they don't care if they score though. Like they'll punt the ball away after 12 plays and be like, meh, whatever. Our defense is going to stop you. UCLA, they go on a long drive. If they don't score, they're like, crap. Like we wasted all this time. Our defense is in trouble because they have a real Neuheisel, great offensive mind, and they, the broadcast said as much. He's going to be a great offensive mind for a while. But for Iowa, it's you've got what? Why are you throwing your hands up?
I mean, how great of an offensive mind is it when the only offense you have is your quarterback running around? Like all of that, none of that is scripted. Like
says you.
He
knows exactly. He knows exactly what the defensive line is going to do. He knows exactly. He says, "All right, Nico. So we're going to call this play. What you're going to do is you're going to drop back. Man's going to get in your face. You're going to spin off the tackle. You're going to break the tackle. Trust me, you're going to break the tackle. You're going to spin off the tackle, and then you're going to pump fake, and then you're going to run for 12 yards. Like that's the play. Ready? Break."
Yeah, I don't think that's what happened. And listen, Neuheisel's had a nice run here, especially early on after the firing of Foster. But like, listen, I have a hard time, and I cringed when they said it on the broadcast, like I did many times when they said anything on the broadcast. But like I'm just like, okay, we're gonna call a spade here and be like, hey, Nico's kind of just doing stuff on his own here. Now, I guess you give credit to Neuheisel for like giving him the space to do things on his own, but like those weren't the plays that were called. Like the successful plays outside of the screen, none of those were called. They were just Nico doing stuff.
Oh no, says you.
Yeah, it says me. I feel pretty confident in that. Nico was just out there doing stuff, and it's hard to win a game that way, and they didn't. Like that's kind of like Jerry Neuheisel might be an incredible offensive mind. I don't think today's a good example of that. Like, I don't think
if Jerry Neuheisel had Dante Moore, he'd still be up for the Heisman.
I don't think you put this on the resume and be like, hey, check out this game, guys.
That
They're like,
just
are you bringing Nico with you? No, okay,
No.
never mind then. Not interested. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here?
Nico Iamaleava, the volleyball player.
Yeah, the famous volleyball player from
the outside hitter, not as good as Harper Murray. But
never.
I was saying, the bye week comes at a perfect time for Nebraska in terms of all the I don't know what the injuries are or if they're significant or whatever, but some of the injuries that they're dealing with currently that aren't season ending. I think this bye week after your trip out to California playing UCLA, before you go on the road to Penn State, before you end your season against Iowa, I think it's perfectly placed for you to get healthy, for you to be at full strength for your last 2 games. I think it's great.
And to have some time to get reps in with TJ.
Exactly.
I
he
think
got a half a game where he got thrown in, then he was able to prepare for a week, go back home. I would say to a comfortable environment where he's from California. I don't know how many times he's been to UCLA or been to the Rose Bowl or whatever, but he's in a comfortable environment for himself. Nebraska fans made sure of that when they made the trip. The Rose Bowl was mostly red, 90% red probably. So having that and then having 2 weeks to prepare for Penn State and get your true freshman quarterback more ingrained into the offense, maybe open up a little bit. They did say they were just going to call it like they would any other quarterback, like he was Dylan Raiola. So I don't know if that was true or if that's what they did with the play call, but now he's going to have 2 more weeks to prepare. And I think it comes at the bye week is perfect for Nebraska right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want your starting quarterback to get hurt ever. I think it happened as fortunately timing wise as Nebraska could have hoped for. I still think Nebraska wins last week if Dylan Raiola is healthy the whole game. I have zero doubt in my mind about that. I also think getting TJ out there this week, getting Nebraska a chance to rally around him coming off the loss, I think that's a huge opportunity to go into the bye week off a win and have TJ have confidence, but also know, hey, here's some things I need to work on, and have just honestly, I think it's just the reps with the first team and getting more comfortable with more parts of the playbook. I think that's a huge thing. I agree. I think I think the timing works out well. Hopefully, we'll find out more. Hopefully about Deshaun McCullough. Maybe he'll be able to get back healthy in a couple weeks, and we'll see where we're at with that. But man, I think this, like, I feel pretty good about Nebraska going into these last 2 games of the season. And, Husker guy Scott says O-line played better. The D-line, like I said, I think the D-line had their best game of the season.
They're getting better as the season goes on. It just took a little bit longer than we probably would have hoped or expected for them to reach the point that they're currently at.
I mean, certainly longer than I thought it was going to. I was very high on this group coming into the season. I'm still very high on their potential.
It's a very young defensive line group.
It's a young group. Basically, everybody outside of McCullough is young.
And Judy.
If you want to include McCullough as part of that group. But man, I think like this is the version of Keona Davis I've been waiting for, the one we saw today. Like
him and Winery look good.
Like this is the version, and honestly, maybe the best Van Poppel we've seen this year.
He had a chance at a big tackle for a loss and just missed it.
Yeah,
he shot through the line. They were you and DB talk about it. DB talk controlling the line, moving the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
They were moving it.
Yeah, I thought they, say the comment says first game all year we got consistent pressure. I think that's accurate. I think they consistently reestablished the line of scrimmage like you're talking about consistently for the first time this year. I mentioned the running backs didn't get a lot. Almost all the rushing yards. I mean, 86 of the 157 were Nico. So what does that put you at? That puts you at 71 outside of Nico. Is that right?
I say that's pretty solid.
It was 22 carries. Yeah, 22 carries for 71 yards outside of Nico. Like that's what, 3 yards a carry, basically 3.5 yards a carry. I'll take that. I'll take that all day.
You can live with that. You can win with that.
Yeah, absolutely, you can win with that. And I think that's a thing that, obviously Husker fans have been frustrated with the running game and things like that. Like they shored up the running backs tonight. Dank says his girlfriend commented, "We would have looked like this whether it was TJ or Dylan out there today. They've clearly been getting better game by game." I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say that they've been getting better game by game. I know it's not always linear, right? And that kind of frustrates us. You have some good games, you have some bad games, you take some dips and valleys and whatever. Here's the other thing we haven't really talked about. Turner Corcoran's been playing pretty good.
Even look,
I'm just gonna say,
look, hey, hand up. I was the first one to admit I was extremely nervous when they said he was going to be playing right tackle. I'll admit it. I was not. I didn't think it was going to go very well.
Couple games now, he's been playing pretty good. He had to play left tackle last. He had to play left tackle last game.
He did, and that's a spot that everybody was like, no.
He's been playing pretty good. I'm just saying.
As somebody mentioned it way early, like when we first started the show. Very clean game, both sides. Very chippy, but very clean game in terms of flags.
Yeah, not a ton of penalties. I didn't have a problem with it either. I didn't think they missed a ton.
Yeah, I want you to bring this up to DB, and I kind of want to hear you guys talk about it. Elijah Pritchett, no flags, looked real damn good.
Love to see that.
Real good on that left side.
Love to see that. Yeah, especially coming off the injury, it was great to see Pritchett healthy and playing well. We mentioned earlier those center guards, the Justin Evans, the Latovskis, the Spindlers, on that long pass on the EJ, those guys were all the way downfield.
They were moving
all the way downfield.
They were. I love watching the offensive line. You see the helmets turning. They're looking for a defensive back. They're like, I'm gonna take him out. I'm gonna drop these little guys. I'm gonna get them.
Oh yeah, they're going hunting. Yeah, I agree. So devil's advocate, the offensive line is significantly better at run blocking than pass blocking, and we are running way more now to establish the rest of the offense. I think that's fair. I think we've known all year that the offensive line is better at run blocking than pass blocking. I think we've had that struggle between, hey, Dylan is one of our best players, maybe our best player, but our offensive line is significantly better at run blocking than pass blocking. Like that's a conflict, right? Like that's a conflict there. And that goes into the play calling being what it was with TJ versus what it was with Dylan. With TJ, you don't really have that conflict. With TJ, you're trying to protect him a little bit, not use every aspect of his abilities, right? That's what you're trying to do with Dylan, is you're trying to use, hey, we've got this big shiny toy, let's use all of it. And with TJ, you're like, hey, let's see what he can do to enhance our offense at the things that we're good at and the things that we feel like he can do comfortably. That's the part where, this is the conversation of what the offense looks like between TJ and Dylan is going to be a lot more complicated than, well, they had this many points or they had this many yards or it looked like this. I get that's kind of where you have to start, but I do think what you're trying to accomplish with Dylan versus what you're trying to accomplish with TJ, and what is being called for Dylan versus what is Dylan checking out of versus what's being called for TJ and what are they end up running. I assume, they mentioned last week that TJ has some of the ability to check out of stuff as well. I also think he's probably doing that a lot less than Dylan is, I would imagine. That's just an educated guess. So I sit here and I go, okay, how much of the offensive playing calls are actually getting to what we see on the field with TJ versus what's getting to what we see on the field with Dylan? And are they actually calling the game that much differently?
They can tell you they're calling the game the same. They can tell you they're going to treat
and they might
TJ as they're going to be treating Dylan. And you're right, they might be. They might not be also. They might be calling different plays. They might be being a little bit more conservative with TJ. And like you said, maybe the calls are coming in the same, and TJ's leaving them. And Dylan goes up and he's changing the plays. I venture to guess that a true freshman quarterback in his first start is not going against what his offensive coordinator is calling all that much.
Especially it's working. It's working consistently, and you sit there and you go, okay, this is working, and maybe that version of play calling fits the rest of the team's skill sets better. But it doesn't fit Dylan's skill set as well, right? So, like, I'd still believe Dylan is the better quarterback. I really do. I think there's some other reasons why the offense might look a little bit smoother at times, or looked a little bit smoother at times. I also think UCLA is not that good.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's also a factor, right? So, like, I think
if you want to say like power conference or whatever opponents, that's probably the worst defense they faced.
Yeah, I mean, certainly worst rush defense they face. I mean, they're bottom 10 in the country in rush defense. Like, this is, so that we have to factor this into the conversation as well. We'll know a lot more after the next two games, right? We'll know a lot more about the offense in general, how TJ looked, how the play calls are different. Like, we'll know a lot more about TJ and what the offense looks with TJ in two games. I was impressed that they were able to seem as potent offensively today with a true freshman backup quarterback on the road as they did. And I was super encouraged by that.
I was not expecting the offense to look as smooth as it did. I was hoping that the offense was more explosive with TJ, and I thought that he was going to be running more and we were going to get some really big run plays out of TJ. But his rushing was pretty subdued, and I there was a reason for that, and I'm totally okay with it. The offense looked smooth. It looked smooth. I wouldn't say that, somebody was saying that it looked like a top 25 offense in the country. I wouldn't go that far. I would say it looked good. It looked like something that you can continue and you can build on. And I think TJ is going to lead a solid offensive unit these last two games.
Yeah, I would agree, and I'll be interested to see what that looks like against better defenses. Rico, I think that's all I got.
Yeah, and I mean, look, everybody that's in the chat right now, everybody that's watching us, if you want more in-depth coverage, check out the Hurrdat Sports Live show Monday through Friday, especially Monday when DB and Ravi are hosting from Hurrdat Sports Bar in La Vista. They'll be on at 7 a.m. going to 10 a.m. and they'll give you all of the interesting little notes that you need, and DB will break down the game a lot better than I can. And he'll give you his firsthand account, as he is obviously out in California as he was calling the game with KC. And I listened to a little bit of the call, loved it. They sound fantastic together. And I don't think they had that KC had to calm anybody down. So that was great. So yeah, if you guys want some more in-depth coverage, turn into Hurrdat Sports Live on Monday through Friday, 7 a.m., 10 a.m. And you can also download the podcast if you miss it live. It's on the Hail Varsity and Hurrdat Facebook, YouTube, and X accounts. If you miss it live, you can go back to wherever you get your podcast, look up Hurrdat Sports Live, and you can find it there and download it and listen to Robbie's beautiful voice and Damon's not so beautiful voice.
Don't hate on, don't kill Damon.
He's not gonna hear this. He's got a lot of insight. That's fine.
Somebody on Twitter hit me up with this and they said, I just realized 0 sacks today. 0 sacks today.
Oh. So in the last 3 weeks, Nebraska's only given up 2 sacks.
Yep, that's correct.
Now those 2 sacks are pretty devastating, but still, only 2 sacks.
They did each come with a season-ending injury, which we don't love, but
yeah, not great. But
2 sacks in 3 weeks. I think that'll be that's what we call improvement. That's what we call improvement. Rico, appreciate you joining me. It is 12:48 here. I know it's only 10:48 where Dank is, so good on him. Good on him for staying up. But I appreciate everybody staying up till almost 1 a.m. here in Central Time. And joining us, hanging out with us, guys. We appreciate you, and we hope to see you on Monday morning as well with me and DB. But that is a wrap for Hail Varsity Postgame Show. Nebraska wins 28-21. They move to 7-3 on the season, and it's going to be much more enjoyable than the last bye week we had. Love going into a bye week off of a win. Rico, appreciate you joining me, and appreciate everybody in the chat. We will talk to you on Monday.